It was 2 days before the World Cup, and the entire football world was watching Cristiano Ronaldo. Every interview, every training session, every photograph seemed to carry the weight of an entire nation. But while millions of people were waiting for the tournament to begin, something happened behind the scenes that almost nobody knew about. It happened at exactly 3:17 in the morning. Ronaldo was asleep in his hotel room when his private phone suddenly began to ring. The number on the screen was completely unknown. His personal assistant, who was staying in the room next door, heard the phone and answered it before Ronaldo woke up. "Hello?" he said quietly. There was no response. Then, after several seconds of silence, a deep, male voice finally spoke. "Put Cristiano on the phone." The assistant immediately became suspicious. "Who is this?" he asked. The man ignored the question. "Wake him up. He needs to hear this." The assistant looked at the time. 3:17 a.m. Something about the caller's voice made him uncomfortable. "If you want to speak to him, tell me who you are first." The voice on the other end became even quieter. "My name doesn't matter. What matters is what is on his phone." The assistant frowned. "What are you talking about?" There was another long pause. Then the man said something that made the assistant stop breathing for a moment. "Tell Cristiano not to open the video." And then the call ended. The assistant stared at the phone. For several seconds, he simply stood there, trying to decide whether the call had been some kind of joke. Then Ronaldo's phone screen lit up again. A message had arrived from the same unknown number. There were only 4 words. "Don't open the video." The assistant walked into Ronaldo's room and woke him. "Cristiano, you need to see this." Ronaldo opened his eyes and immediately noticed the concern on his assistant's face. "What happened?" "Someone just called you." Ronaldo sat up. "Who?" "I don't know." The assistant handed him the phone. Ronaldo read the message. His expression changed almost instantly. "Did he say anything?" the assistant asked. Ronaldo didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the screen again. There was a video attached to the message. The title was simple. "Do you remember that night?" Ronaldo stared at those words for several seconds. "Cristiano?" the assistant asked. Ronaldo finally spoke. "I don't know who sent this. Should I call security?" Ronaldo looked toward the door. "Not yet." He opened the video. The screen showed an empty football field at night. There were no players, no crowd, no stadium lights. Just a dark field and the sound of wind moving through the empty stands. The camera slowly moved forward until it stopped in front of an old wooden bench. A football was sitting on the ground beside it. Then a man's voice came from behind the camera. "You probably thought this night was over." Ronaldo's eyes narrowed. The voice continued. "But some things don't end just because we stop talking about them." The video suddenly ended. The room became completely silent. The assistant looked at Ronaldo. "Do you know that voice?" Ronaldo shook his head. "No." But there was something in his expression that suggested otherwise. He opened the video information. The file had been created only a few hours earlier. That made no sense. The footage looked old, but the file itself was new. Then Ronaldo noticed something else. In the final frame of the video, barely visible in the darkness, there was a clock. The time displayed was 3:17, the exact time the call had arrived. Ronaldo put the phone down. "Someone is trying to scare me," he said. The assistant nodded. "Then we should report it." Ronaldo thought for a moment. Maybe. Before he could say anything else, the phone rang again. Same unknown number. This time Ronaldo answered it himself. "Who are you?" he asked. The voice on the other end remained calm. "You still haven't remembered." Ronaldo stood up. "Remembered what?" "That night." "What night?" The man paused. "The night you promised someone you would never forget them." Ronaldo's expression became serious. "Tell me your name." The man laughed quietly. "Names don't matter anymore." "Then what do you want?" "Nothing." Ronaldo frowned. "Nothing?" "I just want you to look around carefully over the next 2 days." Ronaldo walked toward the window. "Why?" The voice answered, "Because someone close to you knows more than they are telling you." Then the call ended. Ronaldo stood motionless beside the window. Outside, the city was completely quiet. The assistant broke the silence. Cristiano, what did he mean? Ronaldo looked at him. I don't know. But neither of them believed that answer. The next morning, everything appeared normal. Training continued. Cameras were everywhere. Reporters were asking questions about the upcoming World Cup. Ronaldo smiled, answered politely, and behaved exactly as he always did. But behind that calm expression, something was bothering him. He kept thinking about one sentence. Someone close to you knows more than they are telling you. During training, Ronaldo noticed something strange. A small envelope had been placed beside his personal belongings. There was no name on it, no logo, no return address, just one handwritten sentence on the front. Open this when you are alone. Ronaldo picked it up and looked around. Nobody seemed to be watching. He put the envelope into his pocket. That evening, after everyone had left, he returned to his room and locked the door. He placed the envelope on the table. For several seconds, he simply stared at it. Then he opened it. Inside was a single photograph. It was an old photograph of a young boy standing on a football field. The image looked like it had been taken many years earlier. Ronaldo turned it over. On the back, there was a date and one sentence. You said you would come back. Ronaldo stared at the photograph. He knew the place. It was a small football ground from the early years of his career, a place almost nobody outside his family would remember. He sat down slowly. Memories began coming back. Years earlier, before fame, before the massive stadiums, before the trophies and records, there had been a young boy who used to watch him train. The boy had dreamed of becoming a professional footballer. Ronaldo had once spoken to him after training. The boy had asked for one thing. If you ever become famous, don't forget people like me. Ronaldo had laughed and told him, I won't. But life moved on. Ronaldo became one of the biggest footballers in the world. The boy disappeared from his life. Ronaldo had not thought about him in years, until that photograph. Suddenly, the mystery began to make sense, but there was still one question. Who had sent it? The following night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., Ronaldo's phone rang again. This time, he was awake. He answered immediately. I know who you are, Ronaldo said. There was silence. Then the voice replied, Do you? Ronaldo looked at the photograph on the table. You're the boy from the field. The man breathed quietly on the other end. I was. Ronaldo closed his eyes. Why now? The answer came slowly. Because I needed to know if you still remembered. Ronaldo asked, Where are you? The man didn't answer. Instead, he said, Look outside. Ronaldo walked toward the window. Across the street, near the entrance of the hotel, a man was standing alone. His face was difficult to see in the darkness. Ronaldo stared at him. The man slowly raised one hand. Then he turned and walked away. Ronaldo immediately called security. But by the time they reached the entrance, the man was gone. The only thing they found was a small piece of paper lying on the ground. It said, You remembered. The next day, Ronaldo went through with his World Cup preparations. The cameras saw a focused athlete. The world saw a football legend getting ready for another tournament. But nobody knew what had happened during those 3 nights. Nobody knew about the mysterious calls. Nobody knew about the photograph. And nobody knew about the man who had disappeared into the darkness. Before leaving for the stadium, Ronaldo looked at the old photograph one final time. Then he put it inside his bag. His assistant asked him, Why are you keeping it? Ronaldo smiled faintly. Because sometimes you don't realize how many people you leave behind while you're chasing your dream. He paused for a moment and added, And sometimes life gives you one last chance to remember them. Hours later, Ronaldo walked onto the field. Thousands of fans were screaming his name. Cameras followed every step. The world was watching. For a moment, he looked toward the stands. His eyes moved slowly across the crowd. Then he stopped. Somewhere among those thousands of faces, he thought he recognized someone. A man sitting alone. The man didn't wave. He simply smiled. Ronaldo smiled back. And then, just like that, the man disappeared into the crowd. The match began. The cameras focused on the football. The mystery was never publicly explained. No one ever confirmed who made those calls. No one ever discovered who sent the photograph. And perhaps that was the point. Because sometimes the most powerful stories in a person's life are not the ones the world hears about. They are the moments that happen quietly, behind closed doors, when nobody is watching. Years of fame can give you trophies, money, records, and millions of people who know your name, but they cannot give you back every person you once knew. And maybe that was what the mysterious caller wanted Ronaldo to understand. Not fear, not revenge, just one simple truth. Before becoming a legend to the world, he had been a young boy with a dream. And somewhere along that journey, there were people who had believed in him before the world ever knew his name. That night, at 3:17 in the morning, someone had reminded him of that. Ronaldo never spoke publicly about the calls. He never explained the photograph. And the identity of the man remained a mystery. But according to this story, there was one final message. It arrived several weeks later. No phone call, no video, just a short text. Thank you for remembering. Ronaldo read it, smiled, and deleted it. Then he looked out the window and whispered, I never really forgot. And perhaps that was the real meaning behind the mysterious phone call at 3:17 a.m. It wasn't about a secret. It wasn't about a threat. It was about a promise made by a young boy long before the world knew the name Cristiano Ronaldo.